Most people know about kind of the large environmental issues that are facing us here in America and elsewhere, issues like endangered species and climate change, but oftentimes people don't recognize that there are significant environmental justice issues right in their backyard. Much of our work touches on environmental justice issues. In 2007, the EPA created a definition of environmental justice to use in implementing its policies. That definition is environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, national origin, or income, in the enforcement and implementation of environmental policy. In order to address environmental justice impacts, it's necessary for the impacted communities to come together to form grassroots organizations that can make their voices heard and allow them to have some input into the decisions that affect both the cleanup, or generally the cleanup of environmental justice areas. One such group is Green Action. Green Action has a long history of activism and advocacy for the communities in Hunters Point and Bayview, and has a history of working to get these sites cleaned up and benefit the communities from that cleanup.
Green Action began in late 1997 when grassroots community leaders from urban, rural, and indigenous communities around the West came together and decided it was really important to form a new organization that would work with communities, help bring them together, and provide a wide range of support. There's been a lot of successful work and campaigns in Bayview, Hunters Point over the years. The really historic one was winning the long campaign to shut the dirty and outdated and unnecessary PG&E Hunters Point power plant, which was a fossil fuel power plant. It just made people sick in the community.
I think we started this fight, it took us about 8 years. It took us 8 years, mostly because you can't just go in and say, okay, here the facts are. This is what this plant is doing to this community. Remember, this plant had been here for decades, and I mean decades. I did in the early days allow it to be personal because I had a grandson who lived directly across from the power plant. He stayed in those old buildings that they're tearing down now, and the pipe, the highest pipe that dispelled the particulate matter was like this, and his bedroom window was like this. And so on overcast days, all of this stuff would just drift down into his window, and he would get locked into his room. And so at 4 years old, to have a doctor tell you, if you want this 4-year-old child to stop suffering from these horrendous asthma episodes, then you need to move him out of the community. That hurts me as a mother, and it hurts me as a human being, because almost to the point I kind of feel guilty because I was actually able to move my grandson out of harm's way, but I couldn't move these other children. That made my resolve to shut down PG&E that much more stronger. That made it also very personal for me. This is where all the trucks came in at. We stopped them when the trucks got here. They met a line full of people, and what was very interesting was not just seniors and young adults, but they were children that wanted to come down and participate. We turned them around, we would not let them go, and I've had the privilege of having seniors work with me that just would not, even in the range, after 2 hours of shutting a gate down in the horrible, horrible rain, I had to beg seniors to go home, and they wouldn't leave unless I left. The police simply threw their hands up and said, we quit. They're not going to do it. They're not going to arrest anybody. They wouldn't arrest anybody because they couldn't see themselves clear to arresting all of these grandmothers who were way past. Some of them were in their 80s. The oldest was in her 90s.
So we shut the plant. It got demolished. The site's being cleaned up, and Bayview, Hunters Point, and I would add San Francisco Bay is a healthier place because of it. So It's a really great victory that was won for the community, but it's also an inspiration that, if you don't give up and if you really use the variety of tactics and really smart strategies, even low-income and communities of color can take on the giant corporations.
We want some real action to stop the injustices, the environmental racism, the environmental injustices that's going on in our community. That's what we want.
What the future holds for Green Action, I guess, is to be determined.
In Hunters Point right now, it's going to be dealing with the sea level rise. Not enough people understand exactly what the parameters are. They don't understand the threats, but all of the heavy industrial area is here, all of the light industrial, and now on top of all of that, you're compiling thousands and thousands of homes. For a while, that infrastructure is going to collapse. Not only will it collapse, but then all of the toxic materials that takes years and years to break down. Some of it takes up to 60 and 80 years just to break down. You're creating a whole brand new set of issues. And they're not looking at those right now. And then put the pressure where it needs to be to make sure that they know that you can't wait until the system falls down or collapses to start thinking about repairing it. You need to do it now. It's no longer just about what's happening in the air, in the ground, and in the water. It's about how it affects the lives of the people living there, how it affects the water, how all of those things connect to your life and to the lives of the young folks that are growing up behind that, and giving power to the people who live there, because they're really, the power truly is with the people. A lot of folks, especially in poor communities such as Baby Hunters Point, don't realize that they actually do have the power. They just have to use it.